Another day, and here come the goats. Somebody let the goats out, and they're slowly, steadily coming right into the shop to terrorize me. We've got a little one window they can climb out in the evening, and Bailey, one of the horns, was out screaming her guts out last night. I don't know what time it was. 1 in the morning, full moon night. There I am in my underwear, my gumboots, running around the backyard with a flashlight. I think she just liked hearing her own voice because there was nothing wrong going on. Anyway, hopefully they keep the baz down to a low roar. They're looking innocent, but we know they're not. They're not innocent animals. Anyway, got lots to share. That video yesterday, I don't know where it came from. I haven't a clue where it came from, where it originated. And somebody emailed, a few people emailed me. It's funny how many people email me in anger, frustration, saying, who would ever pan back on a video camera? Tell you what, I videotape a lot in the wild, and for something, a little bit of food for thought. Maybe they didn't know something was coming. Maybe they heard sounds down there. Maybe they're just panning down there with their video camera, and as they're panning back, because you hit the camera, when you're panning back, at times, I've done it tons of times. I've screwed up millions of times taking a video, but possibly, let's give it the benefit of the doubt. The person with the camcorder possibly was hitting the zoom back button, and they took it away from their eye, even it was going like this as it zoomed back. Who knows? And didn't even know they caught it. You never know. That's the only explanation I come up with. And furthermore, how would anybody know that something's about to walk into a meadow like that? I mean, I can basically guess if an elk, a bugling elk, or a calling moose is about to, because I've been calling back and forth with them, and I can see the meadow and hear their voice and know they're probably going to be there in a second, and set up the camera and get ready. That's about it. So I don't know. If I try to put myself in that scenario with that person, I don't know what they videotaped. I haven't a clue what was going on. I don't even know where it was or what they were doing. But picturing myself, if that was my video and I made that video on the mistake, how did I do it? Well, let's see. I would have been videotaping down there because I heard something. Or I heard something coming, or something was calling from there, and eventually I figured out, well, nothing's coming out of there, so I'm panning back, and I might be looking around like this as I'm panning back. Oh shit. I don't know, who knows? But then again, where's the rest of the video? Because it chopped when the thing's in the middle of the meadow, right? Whatever is what it is. Is what it is. Oh, check this out. Sarah got a Club No Return mug made for me for Christmas. And no, she's not going to be getting these and mailing them out. It's not even going to happen. I guess there's other options to do something like that later on. Maybe she'll look into it, but no, that's not going down. There's far too many people making a lot of money off of her busting her ass to get the hats out. And it is what it is. But I guess on that note, she got the digital camo hats were back at the store. She wanted to pass it on. I don't know how much longer she's going to do this because it takes a lot of time, and it's possibly not really worthy of your time to do this from home. Let me just share that with you guys. So there might be limited. I don't know if she's going to shut it down. I don't know. There's a handful of hats back in there. I think she ordered one more batch of those. What's it called? Legacy Vintage Green or some damn thing. The green ones that I managed to wear, and then she steals back from me. Anyway, she got another batch of those coming, but in the meantime, she's got a bunch more in right now, right? Now, let's get some frickin' important voices heard. I am possibly 1 week away. 1 week left here, and then I'm gonna go away. Very, very far away. All right, I've got a mixture of recent and older emails to share here. Listen to this. This is a reply to a recent email by the sounds of the title. Daniel Boone BS story is the title of this email. Hi, Steve. On January 6, 23, you read a story about how Daniel Boone shot a Sabe that was slamming his son onto the ground at least twice. Allegedly, Boone shot the Sabe in the eye, killing him. And after examination, he saw that his son had shot the Sabe multiple times in the chest. But it didn't penetrate because of some bony chest shield the Sabe allegedly had. Uh-huh. Let me remind you that the Boone and Son in those days used flintlocks that were one-shot beauties that took a while to reload. There was no way Boone's son had time to shoot that Sabe multiple times, let alone twice. Maybe Boone's son had a single-shot pistol to back his flintlock up, but that's about as far as that story could go. That, combined with the claim that Boone's son was slammed to the ground at least twice, that would result in pretty severe torso trauma. He could survive in those conditions is also unlikely. I'm not saying the writer was intentionally lying because he was simply repeating the story, but the story doesn't pass my bullshit detector. Not even a little bit. Carl F. Warden. Okay, Carl, you know what, you guys, I think I kind of broke one of my rules in sharing this one because I always say, take from it what you will or leave it. And what that does, it possibly eliminates the room for arguing or tearing down somebody's credibility because you feel the need to. And I'm not saying you're doing that either. I'm just saying this flavor of email I possibly shouldn't be sharing in the future because this is an example of take from it what you will or leave it, right? Everybody's going to have their feelings on it. What's my position here? My position is I am the messenger. I am here to make sure that everybody gets to speak openly and freely no matter what in a safe place. That's what I'm doing, sharing knowledge and figuring out shit. But what else on that note? Thanks for the email, though, man. Thanks for the email. There's going to be a shit pile of people agreeing with you. I wasn't there. I haven't a clue myself. Whatever. Do I have much interest in the story myself? No. That's just me, though. But it's funny, you know, some of the people that I passed on to you that I feel confident listening to, I've actually had people go out of their way and email me to attempt to shred that person's credibility. And I'm like, holy shit, you know what? Not every single messenger is going to be a pure, perfect person from the time they hit the planet until now. But regardless of how some people might feel about somebody's character, they are possibly sharing facts and truth, and they're a messenger of facts and truth, and they're offering it up to you to look into it yourself, right? It'd be like if my neighbor down the road, I don't know, was impaired and smashed into a family of 36 years ago, and then he told me that there was something down the road. Am I supposed to go, wait a minute, let me look into your history a minute. Weren't you impaired about 36 years ago? That means I can't listen to you when you tell me about what's down the road. Sorry, right? That doesn't make sense, right? So what I'm saying is, the majority of the messengers today that are trying to share truth with all of us, they are offering it up in a way that you can look into it yourself. And that's where the majority of people are lacking. The majority of people just don't look into shit themselves. They sit there and they listen, and they either blow a gasket or they start preaching it as absolute truth without even looking into it themselves, right? So look into stuff yourselves, you guys, all right? Never mind the messenger and looking into their history of where they might have done something wrong in the past, maybe possibly, unless you're trying to sell or peddle you something, right? And they need you to act on or believe something so that they can advance themselves. That's the big problem going on today, okay? You have to look through that shit screen and see that clearly. There's a lot of characters out there that need you to be somewhere, see something, listen to something, and not say a word and follow their lead at all costs because they need you to. That's the difference here at this place. Nobody needs shit from you. Nobody needs shit from me. Right? I don't even need anybody to be here. The door's wide open to the public. Come on in, bring respect, and you leave respected. You have something that's going to help the people, share it. Other than that, that's all there is to it. I don't need anybody to believe anything. I don't need anybody to do anything. In a way, I'm starting to babble. I'm on my second coffee, and she made it pretty potent. I almost think she's messing with me. She probably sits there and giggles, loading up my coffee, knowing I'm going to let her rip. Anyway, it's like I always say, I don't need people to subscribe, sharing all that other shit. I need people who need to help themselves. That's what it is. I hope to attract people that need to help themselves and help others to come here. Not come here to advance themselves and benefit in some weird way, right? Babbling. Let's get on with it. Excuse me. All right, here we go. What's this one? Dogman in Mississippi. Been in Mississippi a few times. Was actually given legal police identification and a badge and photo ID in Mississippi from a very corrupt police department way back in the day. I might tell that story one day. So yes, I still have the badge and the ID. Anyway, hello Steve. I'm sorry for how long the story is, but I wanted to share all the details I could remember. This is a story that was passed down to me by my grandpa while he was on his deathbed. He said that he never told anyone about these things, not creatures, not beings, things. I'm going to go into first person POV so it's easier to read. It was a cool, crisp December morning. It was close to Christmas, so I was trying to kill a big buck. I woke up at about 4:30 a.m. and started making biscuits and gravy. I was done at 5 a.m. It was me and my father going to our best hunting spot out of the 4 properties we were able to hunt. I always found that place creepy, but we needed some meat. So I got in my truck and headed to my dad's house to pick him up. Since my truck goes through this thick red mud clay of east central Mississippi. Yeah, what's up with the red? The stuff's everywhere down there. I really noticed that when I first went down to the south. I was like, weird, man. The dirt's all the sand is all red and sticky. Man, turkey hunting and your gumboots weigh about 50 pounds each. I always found that place creepy, but we needed some meat, so I got in my truck and headed to my dad's house to pick him up. Since my truck goes through this thick red mud clay of east central Mississippi, better than his old. I got to his house around 5:15 a.m. We left as soon as I got there because he was already ready to go. We got to the gate of the property, which has a huge creek running next to it and all the way through it. I got out to open the gate and I heard some coyotes sounding off in the distance, but still on the property. I told my father. He said, all right, let's go get in the damn shooting house then and see if they bring it our way. So we rushed into our big 3-man shoot house. It had 3 big sliding glass windows and 1 on the door as well. We got to the shoot house and I made my father go up first. I held his gun and he grabbed it when he got in the shoot house. Then I climbed. There's some punctuation missing, all right? Then I climbed into the shoot house and sat in my chair and moved the chair in the middle of us back so we had room to move. It's going to be a struggle, but we're going to get it. Our rifles were old Winchester 30-30s, plenty big to take down anything that is supposed to be in Mississippi. We had been sitting there for 3 hours, which would have made it about 8:45 or 8:50. We hadn't seen a single deer, which was very odd for these woods, and something walked out down my father's path, which was facing the left side. There was a 10-foot tall T-post that was 115 yards from the shoot house, and this huge solid black thing with legs, binding backwards like a dog. It was as tall as the T-post. T-post. I don't know what that is myself. It had huge arms and legs. Its calves were extremely oversized, and as it walked onto the path we seen it, was carrying a huge 8-point buck in its right arm. My father said, I'm going to put this deer-killing son of a bitch down. He pulled the trigger and loaded another round. You could see the blood splatter off the thing's chest. He got lined up and pulled the trigger again, pulled the trigger again. Okay, there's a couple typos, all right, you guys, but let's get through this. We can do this. And pulled the trigger again, dropped the deer, and started slowly walking to us. So I slung the door open and put my gun out the window. On it, I got lined up on the creature's head and pulled the trigger, but all I heard was a little click, and I could feel my heart drop to my nuts. Racked the lever and put in another round and putting on this thing's chest because it was a bigger target, and I was shaking like a leaf. I pulled the trigger, and more blood splattered onto the ground, and the thing sped up more and more with every shot. Me and my father both emptied our rifles. And when we did, I pulled out my 44 mag revolver out of the holster on my hip and closed the door and put my back to the wall. Me and my father both did this, and about 10 seconds later, we heard the door rattle and stopped. It didn't open. The thing messing with the door had a smell of rotting flesh, blood, and skunk spray. It made us gag. The flimsy door could have been ripped off by a 12-year-old girl nowadays, more or less a 10-foot tall, huge Dogman wolfman creature. The smell went away, and me and my dad looked at each other and locked eyes and said, "What the hell was that?" Then my grandfather said that the head on the Dogman was huge and could have easily fit around any human head and crushed it with no problem. He also said that his grandfather had told him about the hairy man in the woods when my grandpa and great-grandpa asked my great-grandpa if this was one of the hairy men. We described it to him, and he said, "Hell no." "I'm glad I got this off my chest," my grandpa said. "I miss him very much. I'm glad to have a place to tell this story." That is one hell of a frickin' story, man. Or experience, I should say. Damn goats. 2 goats and a chicken are slipping in here now. But anyway, there's a lot of these experiences are really hard for a lot of people to wrap their melon around, right? But who just respects their passed away grandfather in this way? Probably nobody, right? So take from it what you will or leave it, but it's not the first time somebody's relayed basically almost the exact same scenario, shooting one of these things, possibly even seeing fur and blood splatter, and the things just disappear, leave. That's all she wrote, right? There you go. Possibly somebody from Mississippi or anywhere else is gonna get knee-jerked and share something similar to this story again down the road here. I wouldn't want that experience myself. What else have we got besides lots? Where am I gonna go? Here we are. Okay, what's this one? Mark this as red. Hi, Steve. I happened to notice something in one of your videos, in one called "A Huge Hand Grabbed Me Around the Waist and Tossed Me to Safety." I noticed that at exactly 6:05 minutes into the clip, something fairly quick, brown looking, and on 2 feet goes running from my left to my right, from one thicket to another, over your right shoulder for like 10 seconds. 10 seconds is a long time, man. Then at approximately 27 minutes and 19 seconds into the clip, it goes running back to where it came from. Then, even more bizarre, 2 white figures come out of the trees in the middle of the same clearing the thing had just ran through. They can clearly be seen in the distance, meandering around behind you in the distance from 27 minutes and 30 seconds to almost the end of the video. Check it. Check this out. And if you have time, clarify that you do or don't know what or who these things or people are. Either quickly email me back a few words, or can you please address it quickly in one of your upcoming videos as for what the F you think these people are. My whole neighborhood is being shown this, and they and I all are scratching our heads. Thanks to you for what you're doing. You got nuts that clank. That's a funny one. Scott S. Kennewick, Washington. Okay, man, I guarantee you somebody from here is going to be diving in there right now. If I remember to do this, I'll have a quick look. Maybe I can't explain it. I don't know. So again, the previous video is called "A Huge Hand Grabbed Me Around the Waist and Tossed Me to Safety." That's the title of the video. Okay, we'll see. It's not the first time somebody emailed me to tell me they've seen something in the video. I get it a lot. An apology, excuse me, and one for me too. An apology, an experience, and some thoughts. Greetings, sir. Let me start by saying I believe I owe you and the community an apology. Feel free to use any information in this letter, like my name. Also, I am proofreading this in your voice, so hopefully I get the punctuation in good places for you. Thanks, buddy. My name is David Eldred. I recently graduated with my bachelor's degree in physics with a focus on relativistic physics. My mother, who is an amazing but sometimes gullible woman, asked me if I ever looked into Bigfoot and shared with me your video about your nuclear physicist friend. Immediately, I scoffed the idea. Some of the stories, and even you a couple times. For that, sir, I want you to know that I am sorry. I started watching more and more of your videos to try and find everything wrong with the stories to disprove this to my mom. And something Les Stroud said really hit me. Out of all the thousands of stories of encounters with these beings, only one of them has to be true for it to be true. I was kind of floored as I never thought about it like that. Now, I certainly couldn't argue that his logic. When I started watching closer, I believe you at least are a good, honest, honorable man. If no one else, I believe you, therefore, is true. From there, it's easy to believe most of the others. Now I do. Thank you for all you do, and I'm sorry for my initial thoughts and cynicism. Oh man, you don't gotta apologize to me, or anybody else for that matter. If anything, you just gotta apologize to yourself for putting up that block without looking into a topic, right? It's no harm done, man. There's never any harm done to me or anyone else. Well, sometimes. My experience. Long before my mom asked me my thoughts about Sabe, a friend and I were camping overnight once at Moon Lake in Utah. We decided to camp down by the dam instead of at the campground. It's fairly early in the morning. Given the light level and time of year, I'd say maybe around 5 to 6 a.m. or so. We're both in our tents when we heard a very loud shriek/screech noise. It wasn't very far away, and it sounded like it was in the trees behind our tents, or at least up off the ground we were sleeping on. It sounded very much like a woman screaming. How many times have we heard that? How many times? To the extent that I was instantly ready to help whomever was in such distress. But then I realized it wasn't a woman. It lasted maybe 7 to 10 seconds, which doesn't seem like all that long, but it's a long time to make a sound of that intensity. No doubt. Anybody challenge yourself and give it a go. Toward the end of the scream, lowered in pitch, probably around an octave or so, and became far more throaty. Not a growl exactly, but almost like the sound you hear when someone dies in a horror movie. It didn't seem like it was something dying though, just kind of throaty. Both of us heard it, but neither of us saw anything, and we did not experience any kind of abnormal fear. I'm not an experienced woodsman by any stretch of the imagination, so I figured it was just some kind of screech owl or something. This is a couple years ago, and I've looked at a lot of woodland creature recordings. Nothing comes close to what we heard, except some of the stories you've shared, and some of the calls these morons have made that supposedly imitate the Sabe in the shows that shall not be mentioned. The sound I heard was similar in duration and strength to the sound of the video of a scream recorded and sent into us. Oh, that's a video titled, Video of a scream recorded and sent into us. Video. But more female, if that makes any sense. I can't in good conscience say what I heard was a Sabe. There's too much in the woods I don't know. But at this point, at least I know it wasn't an owl or anything else I've ever heard. I'd love to know what it was though. You always say, if you're writing into me, you know what it was. Excuse me. So with that, I consider myself a member of the club. I also talk about the topic to anyone who will listen. I'm not ashamed or scared. Hypothesis. It's often talked about how people believe the government knows about these creatures, and sometimes there's been talk about how they show up at military installations. It always seems to be from the viewpoint of the Sabe coming to those places. Excuse me. What if this is backwards, and some of the militaristic installations were set up knowing they would be in their migratory paths? What if the national parks were made into national parks as a sort of a reservation for these beings? These are just a couple of thoughts that struck me one night. Another thing is the secrecy. If the government knows about them, why keep them secret? Perhaps they are being studied? Let's say, and I'm far more inclined to believe this idea now, and in truth I'm very much looking into the physics of how it's possible, these beings can make themselves invisible, travel through portals, bracket Einstein/Rosen bridges/quantum tunneling in physics terms, bracket, and do all these things. If the military were trying to study them to find out how to do it, it would absolutely be highly classified because we wouldn't want our enemies to know. Yeah, no doubt, especially me, because I would clean up the government within hours of knowing I had that skill, to be honest. Sadly, as we've seen with the C vid and big tech, the public is far too often seen as the enemy. So there's that. I could be totally wrong about these things, but I thought I would share in case it fits with anything. As you always say, take from it what it's worth. Leave what you don't want. Sorry if I misquoted you there. Possible answers from questions in your videos. Proof. If someone asks for proof, you should always ask, what kind of proof will you accept? I'd almost guarantee they'll be absolutely stumped, but hopefully it will get them thinking. It should take away their fight and make them really think about what proof they would accept. And then, when they tell you, the data should be easily attainable at this point. Swaying. A lot of encounters talk about the beings swaying back and forth, but some don't. I was thinking about what the difference could be. The only thing that keeps coming to mind is hypnosis. Snake charmers and typical hypnosis clock on a pendulum both have a swaying motion. I'd have to watch more, but it seems that most, if not all, the encounters that have these things swaying have no fear response and often have more come here feeling. Huge bird, January 7th. I don't know how old this email is. I saw one of these when I was younger, maybe 25 years ago. I was in Binghamton, New York. Binghamton, New York. And I was riding a bus. I looked out the window, and over the hilltop, there was at least a mile away from the peak, I saw this huge bird-looking thing, almost like a great blue heron. But a heron would have to be flying pretty close for the scale to be right. This was obviously a lot further away and just slowly gliding through the sky. I went home, told my mom I saw a dragon, but she said it was probably just a heron. The shape was right, the size very much wasn't. Wanting to kill. Here's another title of his topic, Wanting to Kill Us/Hate Us. You mentioned recently that it doesn't make any sense. Anything that would act like that would seemingly want to kill us and hate us, but then why would it not just do it instead of warning us? It's there. Bracket. From the Your Ass Is Mine February 1 video, and bracket, excuse me. What if it doesn't though? I'm not saying that these beings want to be our best friends, but you're right. If they wanted us dead, we'd be dead. The fact that so many aren't seems to point to the fact that they don't. I've had anger issues in my life, and I'm still working to get rid of some of them. As a person, I never want to hurt anyone. But I'm just so tired of everyone hurting me and those I love. So when I feel like I'm in danger, I get really big and really loud. People often say this is scary because I'm a big guy. We've had reports of Sabe helping people. We've had reports of Sabe scaring the shit out of people. We've had very, very few, if any, reports of Sabe actually hurting people. What if the terror is a defense mechanism because defense is a good offense? I guess I'm just thinking this and saying it because I want to be more woodsy. Honestly, you're a role model for me now, and I want to get in the woods and be okay there like you. If this was true, I can understand it better, and we don't fear what we understand. The woods, especially at night, are really creepy for me already. But I want to get over this, which means I want to understand more. Encounter types. Perhaps the difference in the encounters is due to the people encountering them and not the Sabe themselves. Oh shit, something's going on in the chicken coop. Sorry about that interruption. It's like the dog finally got a hold of a chicken. Anyway, Sarah's pretty upset about it, but the dog was playing with the chicken. There's a little bit of blood red on the chicken's forehead, but I'll tell you what, it's don't serve. If she was trying to kill the chicken, it would have been dead. But she was, all the chickens are safe in their coop, and it's all penned up. But there's one chicken, since the bear incident, that flies out of the coop, and she always goes and sleeps with the goats in the goat pen. And she's a little too tame, one of the original ones. And I guess old Ruby got a hold of her. Sarah blew gasket. I disciplined the dog, and now she's in her pen right there and lock up. Is what it is, right? Some dogs, I know some breeds, was it, I think Huskies or Malamutes or something, they've got the kill DNA in them, the hunt it, kill it, DNA in them real bad, and you can't get out of them. Apparently I've heard about that. I don't know. Anyways, I don't know. Caucasian Shepherd, Malamute cross. She just might have that in her blood. I don't know. You never know. It is what it is. I mean, it's not a new thing, a dog killing a chicken, right? Hell, everybody's good. Now, back to where we were. The next subject in his email, encounter types. Perhaps the difference in the encounters is due to the people encountering them and not the savvy themselves. There's a part in the book, The Horse and His Boy by C.S. Lewis, where Aslan speaks about how he protected the boy through all these dangers, but there is one of them. One time he scared/hurt the horse. The boy asked, "If you're good, why do you scare/hurt my horse?" The Aslan said, that is your horse's story. Please understand, all this is just me thinking out loud. I'm not claiming any of this, except my encounter is what's real, just thoughts I have when listening to the people. May be true, may be wrong. So there's obviously long enough as it is. I've de-edited it. Sorry, you guys. This is obviously long enough as it is, and I've edited out a lot already to make it shorter. I'm sorry it's so long, but you always say, just write everything you have when you write. So I did. I sincerely appreciate you. If I come up with any more answers in my physics research, I'll let you and the people know. If you're ever around Lehi, Utah, I need a place to stay, you'd absolutely be honored guest in my home. And if anyone around here wants to go camping, I'd be totally down. Look for me in the comment section, LOL. Thanks for everything, sir. I'm at your service, Dave. To fall in the star is to be nothingness. To escape is to be empty. Fall into the star and then we won't exist, or escape into the nothing. Okay, man. Appreciate you. Big time. That's a goodie. That's a great chunk of words to send into the people, right? And believe you me, how many people there must be who laughed at this topic previously and then were forced to accept it as fact. Nothing new. It's funny. Who was I just talking to? I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday. A friend of mine that you saw, my buddy who sat on the porch of the cabin with me to tell about his experiences, and we were talking on the phone yesterday, and he actually said that there's a handful of his friends have been laughing at him for being in that video and talking about the topic. And I'm like, who gives a shit? Who cares? Put those guys in with me for 30 seconds and they won't be laughing. And that's not meaning I'm going to be violent or something. It's just meaning when you look somebody square in the eye and square up with them and don't even smirk and say, what, you really think I made it up for attention from you? Really? You think I asked for it? Do you think that your laughing can actually change what I experienced without asking for it? Give your frickin' head a shake, right? That usually gets the point across pretty clear. Anyway, thank you for the kind gesture of giving me a place to stay. I appreciate that. And if you're ever a member in the neighborhood, I will look you up for sure. Now, let's see if I can get one read without being interrupted. The dog's pouting in her crate and the two goats are standing there staring at her, rubbing it in. All right, what's this one titled? This is titled Possible Missing Puzzle Piece. Dear Steve, I hope this email finds you well. I enjoy listening to your content, and while I have never had an encounter, I believe this info I'm going to share may be interesting to you and the wider community. It could be a missing puzzle piece for some. The rhesus factor of blood is the positive or negative part of your blood type. Around 15% of humans are negative, with the vast majority of those being white European. Bracket, with an unusually high proportion originating from a small mountainous region called the Basque, B-A-S-Q-U-E, end bracket. This puts into doubt the commonly accepted theories of humans originating from sub-Saharan Africans. Scientists have no clue where or how this mutation occurred, leading to many theories. Some being that it is not of this world, or may have been put here by something not of this world. Rh negative blood has some interesting properties, and if anyone is interested, they can look more into this because I'm no expert. There's the key sentence that we all need to repeat in our heads now and then. If you're interested in anything, look into it yourself, right? That's the key. However, the reason I share this is because of some of the interesting traits I have read about Rh negative people possessing. When was it? This was sent in 2021. What's that coincidence? 2021, and just this week I was asking about this topic. Sorry about that. I lost my spot. Rh negative blood has some interesting properties, and if anyone is interested, okay. However, the reason I share this is because of some of the interesting traits that I've read about Rh negative people possessing. These traits are said to be things like higher levels of intuition than normal, enhanced sixth sense, possessing psychic abilities, slower aging, enhanced senses such as eyesight and hearing. The next few points I have copied from a few websites, selected for ones that I believe relate to this topic. Quote, Rh negative people pick up on energies from others easily. Rh negatives experience unusual, sometimes paranormal events. Higher than average IQ, more sensitive vision and other senses, lower body temperature, higher blood pressure, increased occurrence of psychic/intuitive abilities, predominantly blue, green, or hazel eyes, red or reddish hair, increased sensitivity to heat and sunlight, cannot be cloned. Cloned, how'd they figure that one out? Extra vertebrae, holy shit. End quote. While doing research on this Rh negative blood thing, you tend to come across a lot of conspiracy type sites because nobody knows much about its origins, as in scientists say it is impossible for this to have occurred naturally, which is why it is unexplained. I've even read things about it coming from aliens or Nephilim. Negative blood type people cannot receive blood from positive, but positive can receive from negative, and babies conceived by opposite blood type parents can lead to the death of the baby. I've listened to you for over a year, and I've never heard this mentioned. In my opinion, it would be interesting to know the blood types of people who communicate with these beings on a regular basis, or who have been marked by them, as some describe. Agreed. Also, I wonder if David Plaitis has ever had this come across his desk. Maybe it could link some of his cases. I don't know. Take it from where you will or leave it. My gratitude to you, Steve, for all you do. Jack. P.S. I live in Thailand, and over here they call these beings the Buutnat, Buutnat, and it is said to live in the dense rainforests of southern Thailand and northern Malaysia. Interesting. You know, I haven't ran the blood type question past Dave yet, but I'm thinking about it. But before I do engage with him in that conversation, I want to have some more knowledge. And that's where you guys have come in and sent me a whole pile of emails that I have to read up on and sift through. And then I have to look into things myself after you message me some points to possibly be aware of. And then once I gain a little more knowledge myself, then I will engage with Dave and see what he knows, so I don't sound like such a dumbass bringing up a topic I have absolute no clue about. Right? I'm sure he may be able to fill me in too, though, right? That's why we talk. Now, today's video sure is all over the chart, isn't it? All right. All right, this is titled, kind of short, sweet, and interesting. All right. We're here. You got us. Hey, Steve, my name is Donnie, and I have an experience that might be interesting to hear. This isn't about Sasquatch, I don't think, but I believe it's still relevant because of my occupation and how that relates to many stories you've told. I work in rocket manufacturing, specifically large rockets for various commercial and military applications. And something happened last night that I thought I would share. I was down at one of our buildings after the completion of an operation to make sure everything was buttoned up and to check out the utility buildings for the facility in case there were any leaks or things of that nature. At these buildings, we have deep tunnels that run all of the utilities underground, from the utility building to our operating buildings. I just climbed out of the tunnel and was making my way back to the operating building when I started feeling like I was being watched. I stood there for a second to take in the situation and couldn't see a reason why I would feel that way, so I turned around to check behind me. That is when I saw an extremely bright light hovering about 200 feet away, just above the utility building I had just come from. As I looked up at it, the light darted down and to my left behind the utility building without a sound. I first thought it was a drone, but I definitely would have heard it. Anyhow, I walked around the building to look for wherever this thing might have went, and there was nothing. When I got back up to our control room, I mentioned what I had seen to a coworker, and he began to tell me that just a few nights ago, he had seen a similar light zipping around the mountainside close to where we work. I want to apologize for being so vague, but this is a level of secrecy in my profession. I also would like to apologize for the lack of theater in my story, but I've always been a terrible storyteller, and I'm trying to keep this short. So I have spared all the details about how the light wasn't beaming, but rather radiating, and all the troubleshooting I did to rule out various culprits. I'm hoping people just listen to the story and take for it what it is. Thanks for being you, and take care. You too, man. And that cracks open a whole pile of more. You know, I had a man in a similar profession as you, but directly from military, share with me that at one point, actually, a U.S. nuclear missile site was shut down, completely taken, all control taken away from them. And there were, I think it was either lights, pretty sure it was lights, were above the place. And it took them a couple days to regain their control again. And it was very, very alarming to them. So for that one, there's been absolutely no shortage of experiences around nuclear, both missile sites and energy sites have had a shit pile of experiences happen around them. We've had Edgar and other scientists have shared with me that a very large amount of the nuclear scientists have seen these beings numerous times around the globe. And that group of people are very tight-knit, obviously, globally tight-knit, the nuclear profession, right? So what's going on there? I don't know. I'm definitely not the guy that knows, but I am definitely taking in all the information I can, trying to figure it out. Some crazy shit going on. Appreciate you and you sending that in, man. And if you got anything else you want to send our way, please do. All right? Please do. All right. Let me get one more out, and then I'm going to carry on with my day. I don't know, deal with that pouting dog in the crate here. This is titled Black Hills of South Dakota Again. Steve, thank you for sharing my story last time, several weeks ago. I never missed an upload from you, and it's amazing to finally have somebody really able to share the truth. Anytime I bring up the subject with people that I'm close to, they really try not to laugh at me, but then the subtle jokes always start. Is what it is. Steve, I shared my story last time about how I've hunted in the woods here for many years now. And I've never been scared to be alone in the woods, even as a small child. And we have a ton of cougars here, but not anymore. I've given up hunting in the woods after getting run out of a place that I'm very familiar with Mindspeak. And they've left tree structures and other signs of their presence in that location, also near a power transmission line. Jump ahead now to last weekend. We had company from Colorado and eastern South Dakota, along with our best friends that live about 20 miles from us. They, like us, live in the fringes of our towns, up in the tall hills covered with ponderosa pines. Even though our backyard is fenced completely with 7-foot-tall welded wire fence, we won't go out there after dark because of the feelings of dread. and I've literally spent every spare moment growing up out there in those woods. That sucks. At a friend's house, their house is at the top of the hill with a large drop-off behind their house that is too steep for a human to easily navigate down. And there's also a sizable cave near their house, about halfway down the rock face. No shit. At the base is a draw and another steep incline that climbs another 200 yards up. Looking west from their backyard, about an eighth of a mile, the forest has been clear-cut, as a gravel company is now mining gravel back there. But the buffer zone in between is very rugged and thick. We took turns hosting our friends from out of town. On Saturday, went to their house in the early afternoon. After talk about camping, my friend wanted to show me some improvements he had made to his camper. Then we walked around behind his garage to look at the garden shed that he'd just finished. As we walked around the corner of the garage, I saw what I thought at first was a deer dart toward the steep rock drop-off, except that it was small and gray. I often take a little pride in being able to spot a deer under a spruce tree or hiding when nobody else can see them. Just as at my house, there's 80 to 100 wild turkeys, also always milling around their area. But this thing was crouched down and then bolted for the edge. I would have guessed to be about 5 feet tall as it was trying to stay low. But it moved faster than I could follow with my eyes. That's the creepy part. Another creepy part. I saw something and then it was gone. Still thinking maybe it was a deer, I walked over to peer down the cliff. No deer, nothing. Whatever it was either long gone or hiding really well. But it made no sound on a drop-off covered with sticks, leaves, and pine cones. My buddy didn't see it. He would have only laughed hysterically at me had I tried to convince him of what I thought I saw. He walked over and looked down the hill, puzzled. I asked him, "You ever go in that cave?" "No," he replied. "I don't know what might be in there." Their teenage daughter and son's bedrooms are back there in the back of the house with no curtains, as there's nothing behind the house. It gave me a really creepy feeling at the time. Excuse me. Later that night, I had to walk along the edge of the tree line to get our vehicle and bring it up to the house to load up my family. I was frozen solid with fear and dread walking to our car. All the times I've been to their house and left after dark, the feelings of fear and dread outside at night are not always there. It's not like I'm afraid of the dark. Oftentimes, I don't even give it a thought. Never have I been afraid of the woods at night. But I made it without incident, and we drove home. The only other place that gives me these terrible feelings is at my parents' house, also directly along the I-90 corridor. If you look at Google Earth of the Black Hills, it's an oasis in the desert and what is called the oldest mountain range in the U.S. Our system of caves here is also mind-blowing. Hundreds of miles of caves. They are here, I'm sure of it. I don't want to see one, and now I won't be going into the woods alone anymore. I do feel like the numbers of them have multiplied. Supposedly, they don't live here, according to blank blank and the BF blah blah O. I'm in the heart of Lakota country, and Native American oral tradition says that the Lakotas lived alongside the Sabe people, and they traded with them, but they did not intermix or spend any time together. They also didn't let their children be alone anywhere near these people. I'm somewhat afraid that our friends have visitors peeking in their kids' windows at night. I don't think that our shadow government can hide this much longer. I apologize for the length of this email, but it's like the song, "There's something going on." Excuse me. Stay strong, Steve. God bless you for what you do and for your heart to free the truth. Excuse me. Sincerely, Douglas. Black Hills, South Dakota. Thanks, Douglas. Man, it sucks to have it stripped away from you, right? It sucks to have the confidence and the enthusiasm stripped from you, especially from an area where you've been for years, right? And that's what has got me in the past, like where I still today love to go is the coastal mountains of British Columbia. Coincidentally, where I go is such a frickin' intense bullseye for sightings of these beings. And I'll tell you what, every time, because my favorite deer hunting spots, once I know it's time to go, are all in areas which haven't been logged before, steep, rocky, and in, I don't know how many years, well over 10 years, I've never had a person on my trail cameras ever, just me. I've never seen human footprints in there, just mine. And I have found Sasquatch prints, I don't know, whatever they were, human-shaped, big, way bigger than my boot prints in there, and on and on and on. What I'm saying is every single time that I do my hike to get in there, which will be an average, at least an hour, sometimes more, of hiking in the dark. Sometimes hiking in the dark when it's pissing rain. You know how dark that is. And you know how dark that canopy is up in that mature timber. It's dark. And although I know I felt safe the whole time, I do know deep down that it's possibly, and it's absolutely out of your control. You just don't know when something shitty and weird is going to happen, right? How many people we've heard with homesteads, ranches, 2-3 generations, never had a problem, hunted this property all my life, grew up here, blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, all this crazy ass shit starts going down, right? Where it never went down before. And that also, for me, kind of kills the old, well, you're trespassing in their area thing. You're intruding in their home. Not really. Dozens and dozens of people have shared that they lived there for generations. Nothing. Laughed at the topic. Boom, there they are. Harassing them. Like they were there the whole time, but they weren't, right? Anyway, it sucks. It sucks, but hopefully we're getting to the bottom of it. Hopefully we're helping people get the confidence to go back out and do shit on their back 40, right? But anyway, I gotta carry on. I've actually, while I'm doing work online with various projects I got on the go, and I'm waiting for things to render down or unload or load up or whatever, and I was telling you guys that I wanted to create something that isn't directly related to this topic, but for all of us here, we know, right? So I've come up with this, and I'm just getting somebody to turn it into a proper vector form. Check this out. Hopefully you can read it. If not, I'll tell you what, I'll put these into the edit program. I'm gonna get some stickers made, maybe even t-shirts, whatever. And all it is the Club of No Return. And that popular still shot from one of my videos. And I would like to see this floating around. And just how many people around the planet, if this thing gets around the planet, I'm sure it will, see it and know exactly what you're talking about. And then how many people see, what's the Club of No Return? You don't want to know. You know what I mean? And then I started farting around and I made 2 more. So I made this one called the Club of No Return. I'll put it up on the screen. Club of No Return. Didn't ask for it. And then I put another one, possibly I might get out there eventually. The Club of No Return. Once you know, you know. Right? With that form in the middle. That might be interesting. Somebody might want to have that. You never know. I'm going to put it on my pickup for sure. I'm definitely going to get it made in a t-shirt, and we'll see how many people. Well, I'll not be fair with my mugs. If you know what that is, you know who I am. But I'm interested in see what happens there. How many people connect with each other, right? That normally wouldn't. How many people you pass at work or in the street or in the mall that are right on the same page as you, but they don't know. You start getting these 2 patches around, we'll see what happens, right? Imagine how many people are going to email in and say, you know, I threw on my t-shirt or whatever the hell, sticker on the truck, and somebody come up and start talking to me. And next thing you know, people talk out loud more and with confidence and realize just how common this shit is and that it's okay. It's okay to talk to a stranger about this shit in person, right? Or wherever. Anyway. Enough babble. Go see what this pouting dog's got to say. I'm obviously not familiar with disciplining a puppy when they see that fun-looking squeaky toy covered in feathers and 2 legs running around and making those fun noises, just like the squeaky toy somebody bought her. Anyway, I'll be back again. Again, Sarah's got these digital things and some other hats restocked in the store. I don't think it's going to be going on too much longer, so if you want one, grab one. or not. I'll be back shortly.